Good evening, UK Crime Book Club. I'm going to let Simon McCleave show. You have got your book covers, haven't you? I've not even asked you. We've not got that far, but I know that you're prepared.
I'm
I've got
prepared.
4 behind there. But go on, introduce yourself properly.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I've had that one framed.
Nice.
Yeah, my name's Simon McCleave. I'm a crime writer. I write a series based, well, 2 series now, but my first series is based in Snowdonia, North Wales, revolving around a central character who moves from London, a DI, Ruth Hunter. There are now 8 books. So
the 9th on its way in June as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So that's okay. And then I've just also sort of running parallel now. I've got a new series, which is a prequel spin-off series. So that's the first one there. This is 1997, when the same character was still in the London Met as a DC. So we can go back 25 years and see what she was doing there. So that's my 2 series. So there are now 9 books out, and the next one comes out in 2 weeks. The sequel to that.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, that's me. Sorry, my Mac's saying I need to plug it in, so I'm just going to disappear for 2 seconds while I.
That's okay. I was just saying before we went live, my last hour rebooting and trying to do now. It's all gone wrong. It's all absolutely gone wrong in the last hour. Everything that could do, but touch wood, we're good now.
Right, back up and running again.
Fantastic.
There we go.
So, I don't think I asked you this last time. Ruth Hunter.
Yeah.
Very similar name to Truth Hunter. Is that where the name came from?
No, but I like that. Maybe I should blag that and say yes, of course. Well,
I was like looking today, and I thought, how did I not spot that sooner?
No, she was called Liz Swan for ages. I don't know why. It was just off the top of my head, and then that wasn't working. And Hunter, I suppose that was quite good because she hunts for right, and Ruth just because that's a sort of Welshy name. But no, I quite like that Truth Hunter. Right, I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, absolutely steal it. Yeah. Absolutely steal it. I just think because it sum her up perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I
could not have been a better name. Go on, what have you not done? Have you not switched your plug on?
I think. Hang on. Right, that's it. Sorry. All that time to prepare, and then we do that.
Well, everything goes wrong at the last minute. It is just absolutely what happens. So Kaz says hello and great promo. Now that promo. Holy that was holy smokes. That's 10
years of being a media teacher and doing A-level students doing pop promos and film trailers and helping them for 10 years on. So I got really good at it. So now I know I can kind of like create my own book trailers, which is a bit of an advantage really. So yeah, it didn't take too long.
Donna Morfitt says hello. Hi Donna.
Hiya.
I'll go back to the trailer though. I actually said my husband doesn't watch my interviews, he's seen little snippets of different things. But I said to him, you need to come and watch this. And he was like, that is so good. And he's just, it's not like he's not interested, but you never are with what your partner does for work, are you? It's like, it's work.
Yeah.
But he knows how excited I get and my face. I was like, oh my word, I think you could have picked better photos of us.
That's all I could get. That's all I could find.
No, I'll forgive you because
right.
That's fantastic.
Like I'm so half asleep or something.
I think we both look a bit. I think we're both mid saying something.
I know. Yeah.
But no, I'm super impressed. I will.
Thank you.
If I ever get this book finished, I'll be hounding you for.
I'll make you a trailer.
I'll absolutely hold you to that.
Cool.
So tell us about book 9. So it's in June. June the.
Don't know yet. I'm writing at the moment
on Amazon. Must just say June. I was looking at the date before, but
I've got it up for pre-order for June the 15th. But if I get my skates on, I will try and. I've actually told one person that I'm going to get it out by the end of May, but we'll see. So that's book 9. I don't even know how we got to book 9 because that seems crazy that we're nearly in.
You've done it insanely fast as well.
Yeah. Well, the other day I looked back on because I had to do something really interesting like my accounts, and I realised I sold my first book in February 2020.
Wow.
So that was the first time I sold a book. So that's only 14 months ago. So it's been fairly crazy few months, but it's been good. Can't give too much away. So, but it is as with all of them, they're sort of self-contained crime stories. This time based in Conway, which is English Conway, but if anyone that's Welsh watching,
take the A out.
They take the A out and get probably irate. But I didn't, because then I had to debate about whether on the cover whether to keep the A or not. But I assumed that anyone that saw it outside of Wales would think it was just a massive, great big mistake. So just set there, it's beautiful. It's got a medieval castle on the harbour, and there's just so much history around there. It's a stunning place to kind of set something. So that was the first thing. And just the usual kind of, I've kind of gone back to doing a proper whodunit with 5 or 6 people all in the frame, trying to keep those plates spinning. And also that trying to keep the moment where the audience towards the end, I'm not going to swear, but what Peter James calls the moment at the end of the book where you kind of get the twist and you go, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. So I've got that.
Is it that word that I said in my head when I didn't tell you the word, but when I watched your promo?
Yes, that's it. The F me moment where that's what Peter James calls it. No, yeah, Peter James calls it, and he just says it's the moment of the book where you get towards the end and then suddenly something happens and you think, wow, I didn't see that coming. So
yeah,
I've still got one of those, but it's much more kind of traditional. The last couple of books have been a little bit more sort of genre based and not as much kind of whodunit, but it's quite nice to go back to that kind of style. So yeah,
I don't know how you fit so much in. There is so much going on within the pages of your books. It's an insane amount of stuff. How on earth do you keep those plates spinning?
I don't know, my head hurts a lot. It becomes like a formula actually. So I kind of get into a rhythm of it. So I kind of know that each part of the book will be a day. So there'll be about 3 or 4 days of investigation, between up to a week, but normally 3 or 4 days of investigation. And the investigation is during the day. The personal stuff happens at night, and then we're back into a briefing and we're back into the investigation, then more kind of personal stuff. And so it just has a kind of natural structure to it through the days. And then I kind of know roughly when the sort of big kind of twists and turns have to come. So I don't know whether it's instinctive, but it's sort of, I guess I'm so used to it now that it's sort of, it's okay. I often don't believe that I've kind of got it right, and then I'll get someone to read it, and it's not often that I kind of will get one of those plots wrong. So touch wood so far.
We're doing well so far. TG says hi, and Leslie Lloyd, hi Leslie. Donna says, lol, you have it up for pre-order and you've not written it yet, but that's just part of the course, isn't it?
Part of the course for indies.
Got to be done.
Yeah, I'm about a third of the way through, but and also because I've got a new book in the new series coming out in April, so in 2 weeks. I've got a very long pre-order. Normally I'd be releasing a book every 6 to 8 weeks, whereas in that series, whereas now I'm going between the two. So
that's mad. I'm not surprised you get a headache.
Yeah, but I don't know
believe how much you've done in such a short period of time.
Yeah, it's I think it's because I've got that script, because I used to work in TV as a script writer. Well, first of all, I worked as a script editor, but then I worked as a script writer. So I did a lot of scripts for The Bill, if we can remember The Bill.
I'm actually I've got one recorded.
Have you?
Yeah.
Look at the beginning, it might be my name on it.
Which you know what? Why have I never thought to look? Because I knew you'd done stuff for the
I did
bill.
about
I'm
30.
trying to think what series on. It's a two-parter at the minute, The Death of a Model.
Ring a bell. This is about 1999 to about 2004.
I'll have a look once we're done, and I'll message you which one I'm watching.
But they're
really
relentless. And I worked on EastEnders, Holby City, all those Midsummer Murders, all that kind of stuff. But the turnaround on them, and Silent Witness. But anyway, the turnaround on them is so fast that you get a phone call one evening and the producer or the script editor will say, right, we need all that bit rewritten and we need it by 9 o'clock tomorrow.
Yesterday.
Yeah. And then they'll say, actually, she is now a man and she lives here, and can you change all that? But we're shooting tomorrow, so can you do it again and change it again? So I did that for years, and I suppose actually that means that I'm really good at writing dialogue and scenes very fast. So when I get writing a book, I kind of already think, if I write slowly, it feels a bit odd. So seems to work.
Well, yeah, it does work. It absolutely does work. Look how fast you're flying through them. Lucy's saying she loved the bill. Hi, Lucy.
Oh, cool.
So I'll have a look. But the first part, she's been beaten about the head with an ornament, is what it looks like. And she's strategically placed on a rug in a certain way that looks like when she'd done some sort of promotion, anti-fur promotion.
Oh, okay. So it might be
not familiar.
Activist.
Could well be.
Could well be, yeah.
But I've recorded part 2, and I said to my husband, he's been laughing at me because I'll watch an episode of Tipping Point while I'm doing stuff. I'll have it on in the background, and then the bill will come on. And I'll be like, "Oh, I've not watched this for years. Right, I need to watch the bill." And then Lucy says evening and waves. Hi, Lucy.
Hi, Lucy.
And now he's slowly been sucked in to watching it again with me.
That's it. You're hooked.
Absolutely on the hook. That's how we're getting to spend time together.
Watching reruns of the bill. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's so good though. And when you see, I'm gonna have to look through and find some episodes that you've done and watch them, because there's loads on catch up. So
cool.
That'll be my Easter morning. Tea toast and Simon McCleave writing for the bill.
Sounds perfect.
Somebody's just said I love Tipping Point.
I love Tipping Point. Yeah, not as much as
right, so we've watched Ruth grow from moving out of the fast pace of London.
Yeah.
And she was hoping to slow down. You're very mean to her. She didn't get to slow down.
Hey, what?
How has it been developing her over the years? Well, obviously over a year. You've only been doing it just over a year, which is mental.
Well, to be fair, I sort of had 3 pre-made sort of Blue Peter Here's one I made earlier, before I kind of launched. So I did have 3 before so I did rapid launch. So I haven't written 10 books in whatever it is, 15 months, because that would be insane. So, but
just 7. Just
7.
Fine. I've not managed 7 short stories in a year, and you've done 7 books. I need to pull my finger out. Yeah,
it's been. It's been good. I suppose for me, it's sort of. She has the ongoing search for her partner, which kind of fuels her. And also, what I quite like about her, the more I write about her, is that she's incredibly empathetic as a police officer, and gentle, and cares a lot, and that kind of makes the job more challenging for her, because she gets personally involved. And I'm guessing there are other police officers who are very cold and clinical, and they just solve the crime and put them away. But she's very good at her job, and she's very organized, and yet her personal life is utter
completely the opposite.
Yeah, and she makes really kind of reckless decisions, and she lies to people, and she cheats on people, and she does all sorts of but it kind of is part of her personality. And yet she goes to work, and she's really together, and I really like that. So yeah, and to me, she's she's alive and well and living in North Wales. And so actually, when I open my computer, just, you know, it just sort of it doesn't quite write itself, but I know every scene how she's going to react before I've written it, because I just know her so well now, which is really nice, because it's just lovely kind of spending time with her and Nick.
It is lovely, and everywhere that you use, I mean, I'm really looking forward to reading about Conway. It's one of my favourite places. My friend, we talked about this before as well, my friend has holiday cottages in Abigail, Pennybreen Farm.
Yeah.
She's not advertising at the moment. They are going to be open. She's taking bookings, but it's a tricky time, isn't it? Lots of people aren't advertising. It's not, but we'll not get into the depressing side, but if anyone does look for a holiday in North Wales at some point, and you live in just such a beautiful place,
I know,
but
really.
there's so many places that you can use. I mean, you're limitless potential.
Yeah, no, and it's and what's really nice is, like, you know, I get lots and lots of hundreds of emails, and so many people from England, or even kind of had from Canada and the US, have been to North Wales or grew up there or been on holidays there, and they've been drawn to the series because 20, 30, 40 years ago, they used to go to wherever it was, Barmouth, or they went to Harlech, or and so they buy the books. And then actually that's for me, that's quite a nice hook, because it gets them in, and actually they start reading them, and they seem to really enjoy it and kind of want to read the rest of the series, which is great for me. But it seems to be a really good hook. And I think, you know, I lucked out with the Snowdonia Killings as the first book, because I think it's such a well-known place, and it's so beautiful and stunning and dramatic, that I think a lot of people are drawn to the first book just to kind of go, oh, that's really interesting, I've been there, or and so it's it's a friend of mine. I was just thinking of a friend of mine who just, when I first wrote the book, it was called something completely different. It was a terrible title. I'm not even going to tell you because it's so awful. And he just went, and he's very canny. He just said, "It's a real shame you haven't got the actual kind of title of the place that it's set." And that was that. So I've got him to. Frank is my friend if he's watching this. But
good on you, Frank.
Yeah, good old Frank.
I am going to grill you afterwards, though, on what this terrible title is.
Oh no, you guys.
Okay. You can tell me off camera.
Yeah, off camera.
I keep it under my hat. We have got. I can just see the screen at the side of me. Can you see all the comments?
Yeah.
Lucy said she virtually met Jim Carver last year.
Yes, Jim Carver.
Donna loves Tipping Point. My kids tease me about Tipping Point, and my husband, because they don't mind it being on. But I have, when we go on holiday, I have a bit of an obsession with 2p machines.
It's strangely addictive, isn't it? And actually, you find yourself watching those things, really, the discs coming down, and holding your breath and going, I wonder if it, and then you catch yourself.
I want that keyring. It probably cost them 3 pence to put in there. But I want that keyring.
It's strangely addictive.
It is strangely
addictive. I'm with you on that one.
Oh, we've got Simone. Greetings from Austria. Read them all, love them. Hi, Simone.
Hi there.
I love that we've got somebody in Austria watching.
Oh, that's very cool.
How exciting.
Yeah.
You are drawing them in from all four corners.
Oh yeah, no, I've had emails from Israel, Iceland, South Africa, lots from Australia, and also I get some of the best ones I like. I get a lot from America and Canada, who are sort of fourth generation Welsh, who go, my great grandfather comes from Snowdonia, and we're now in Oklahoma, and they kind of have, like, you know, old photographs, and you know, they kind of just have that sort of family heritage where they picked up the Snowdonia Killings because, you know, 3 generations ago they had a family in Snowdonia. So I love that kind of stuff as well. That's really sort of it's just nice, isn't it, to have that kind of connection.
It is, and to read about somewhere that, especially at the moment, not been anywhere.
No.
In fact, the only place I've been, other than Manchester in a year, and I'm very lucky to have gone, is to Wales.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, to my friends' holiday cottages.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
After the lockdown eased, we went, and we were the first people there. So obviously it was just quiet, and we literally just went and stayed there. We couldn't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
We did actually go to the Welsh Mountain Zoo, which, if anybody's not been, is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And outdoors, and managed the whole social distancing situation beautifully.
Yes.
Mainly because there was nobody there. There's about 10 families that we just kept passing, but the paths are wide enough that you can walk away from
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
You just
wow,
sound
beautiful.
right in such a gorgeous place to
I'm very
live
happy.
there and write about it.
I know, it's okay, isn't it? Research is not too difficult. Jumping in
Mm,
the car and going, right, I'll go to Conway for the day and have a look around and then write about it.
amazing. I should, yeah, I'm going to set something. I've long since said I'm going to set a murder mystery on her farm, and she's all up for it. But I've not done it yet, so
You definitely should do it.
yeah, be killing somebody on a farm in Wales
Always good.
in a book. Let's just
Well, yeah.
get that disclaimer in there. Kaz wants to know, would you set novels set outside of Wales? And I know I've just missed a question from Alison Willis as well, but I'll go back to that one.
So
So
that,
where is the War
London.
Crime set?
Peckham.
Oh, London, because that's
Peckham,
where
South London. So that's where she's from. That's where I'm from. So I suppose that's what I actually.
Well, you did the same as Ruth, didn't you?
Yeah, I did it. Basically, Ruth's story is my story, which is from South London, and then decided to kind of. It was, you know, a little bit hectic and expensive, and yeah, quieter life in North Wales. So that's what Ruth does. But it's quite nice to go back and explore bits of South London. And also it's the late 90s, which was, for me, my 20s, which was quite a kind of interesting time in London. There was like Britpop, and there was like the politics of the New Labour, and there was just all sorts of kind of interesting stuff going on. And the Met was still quite sort of misogynistic. I've got a really good there's a guy called Barry who's a ex-CID from South London who looks at my books at the moment, and I've just been talking to him about the the 90s, and it's really interesting how it was a real overhang from the 70s, and it just was really it was still sort of stuck in that kind of those old-fashioned ways. So that's quite nice to write about as well. So yeah, no, that's it's very different, but I'm enjoying it. I've just seen Sally Rigby saying hello from New Zealand. Hi, Sally.
Hello, Stella.
Another brilliant crime writer.
Absolutely. I'm sure Sally's booked in. Kaz has mentioned something about Sally. I forget what it is off the top of my head. It's been one of those weeks. My memory this week isn't there. It's not happened. But let's go to the question from Alison Willis that I missed. Hello, I've not read any of your books, but I do have a couple of yours on my TBR pile. They come highly recommended. I basically just wanted to check you out. You seem a lovely man.
Oh, yeah, well,
I've been looking forward to this because I know
it's
how
not
lovely
true.
you
You wait till the camera goes off. Ask my family.
Absolute nonsense.
And my dog. Well, let me know what you think when you've had a read.
Alison, which books have you got? Be interested to see, and you need to move them up your pile. Oh, Donna, do you chuckle to yourself as you put your poor characters in horrible situations? What a question.
No, I don't. Not the horrible situation.
No evil laugh like a Bond film.
No. I sometimes chuckle when they come. Well, they seem to come when they come up with like quite interesting, funny character dialogue. I sort of feel like I don't come up with it. I feel like that's them talking. Sometimes I'll laugh and think that's really funny, but no, not quite that psychotic. I don't think.
I'm quite concerned, Donna.
Yeah.
Talk to someone. Okay. T wants to know, which of your characters would you like to take out of the book and entertain for the evening?
Oh God. I'd have to spend the evening with Ruth. That'd be great.
I don't know. Don't you spend a lot of time with Ruth though?
Already?
Yeah.
Well, technically in my head, yes. Well, Nick, I think Nick would be interesting. He seems like quite a decent bloke. Yeah, I think no, I think I would just like to go and sit in the garden and watch Ruth smoke a lot and sort of just hang out. I think that'd be cool.
I feel like we're playing Snog, Marry, Avoid with your characters.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I'm wondering who's watching.
Where's your wife, Simon?
Yeah, no, very quiet. No, don't watch that. Terrible interview. Yes, Ruth and red wine. That is a very good point. Actually, that's exactly what we need. And also, I've got. I don't know if I've mentioned that they're making it into a TV series.
You have not. That is fantastic.
Yeah, I think I don't think it wasn't. It hadn't been. It wasn't. Last time we spoke, it wasn't going to be, was it? No.
No, it was May. So we're.
Yeah, there's a very famous. I can't tell you her name though.
Okay.
But there was a very famous TV actress who's kind of, but if I say her name, but she was reading the Snowdonia Killings on holiday. I thought this was a joke, by the way.
Right.
And she DM'd me on Instagram and said, "I've read it. I love Ruth. I want to be Ruth. I'm going to find somebody, a production company. I'm going to find it, and we're going to option it, and we're going to make it, and I'm going to be Ruth." And I just thought, that really can't be.
It can't be that simple.
That's not okay. And since then, agents have been talking and doing all that kind of glamorous stuff, and the book's been optioned to be made into a TV series. And
you're going to have a cameo.
Yeah, definitely. Anyone can have a cameo.
Can I have a cameo?
Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah.
In the background.
Absolutely. Can you imagine?
So yeah, and I get to write the scripts. So at the moment, so that's even better. So
are you doing the scripts as well? Oh, that's fantastic.
Well, only because there's part of me. There's some people are going, well, you don't want to write the scripts. You don't want to go back to the Snowdonia Killings and go through it all again and write the scripts. But as an ex-script writer, I thought, am I ever going to get the chance to write a TV crime drama that's going to go out on,
Well, that's the thing. You know what needs to stay in from the book. You know what can. I'm assuming you're going to make it true to the originals.
Yeah.
But with a big budget for blowing things up, and
I assume so. I mean, it's sort of. There's no explosions in the first one, but there are later on. But I can't. Yeah, someone's asking who's going to play Ruth. I can't tell you. Otherwise, I would get crucified by her agent, and
I wouldn't even push you on it. That's
But yeah,
can
no.
We have an exclusive when you are allowed to say it. Can we have a UK CBC?
Yeah, I'll give you. I'll let you know first. But yeah, so I think the scripts will be done this year, and then filming in Snowdonia in 2022. So
wow,
that would be really nice, and I'm guessing the sales might be quite good after that as well. So
I would hope so.
All would be good. So we'll see.
That's so exciting! Congratulations! That is just fantastic.
Yeah.
We've got. I must have read that though. I get your newsletters. I must have read that. That's what I mean. My memory this week is terrible.
It's vaguely mentioned in a sentence. I think it's not a. I haven't been banging on about it, but.
I'm just scrolling through because I can't see everybody's names on there, which is why I keep looking at my phone.
That's right.
So Leslie Lloyd's going to read Snowdonia Killings. Get your words out. And Simone said she's in Austria, but she's actually Australian. Now, there's a story there.
Wow.
An Australian living in Austria.
Who knew?
Quite a difference.
It's kind of confusing, but I quite like
Simone,
it.
let's talk.
Yeah.
Donna Morfitt said harsh. I'm not sure which bit which bit was harsh. And Simone says Ruth and red wine. And Tony Millington says evening.
Evening.
Leslie says TV series is great news. Look forward to that. And Donna said that should have been the opening news. Well, probably. But I was more interested in whether Ruth Hunter came from Truth Hunter.
Yes, that was far more interesting and far more important.
I'm quite pleased with myself. And it was David Walsh who asked who's going to play Ruth. Well, yeah, no, David.
I can't
tell you.
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill all of you.
So you're off to Austria and you're off to New Zealand. You're coming to Manchester.
Yeah.
That's quite a long list of places to go to.
It's got to be done. Authors are weird. Of course they are. They spend all their days in their heads.
That's Donna. Why did he even have to look who that was? That's Donna.
I know. if you actually think
Fairly
about
certain
it,
Donna's. I read a story of Donna's on UK CBC Shorts, so
right?
call
So there
myself
you go.
weird.
So yeah,
Yeah.
don't throw stones in glass houses.
Right. So, are you working on 2 books now at the same time, or do you literally do one at a time?
I
And
am
are you
writing
working on? So,
book
you're working on the
9.
script and the book.
Oh, I don't know when. Yeah, the scripts at the moment haven't been commissioned, so at the moment
Right.
I'm okay. I haven't. It hasn't gone completely mad. Um, I I'm working on book 9 of the main Ruth Hunter series, but I already in my head I've started to plan the 3rd book in the London series. Um, so by the time I finish book 9, in my head I'll have the main beats of the story so that I can then go straight into book 3 for the next one, which is beginning of September will be released, and then book 10. So yeah, that's pretty much the rest of the year done. So that's good.
So, do you literally work 7 days a week?
Um, yeah, bits and bobs, but I can pick and choose, and also I sort of find it quite hard to write flat out because I do sort of 2 to 3 thousand words a day. I find it really hard to do that in one sort of hit in the morning and then not do anything else. So I'll try and do an hour. I'll do 1,000 words in the morning and then do some other bits and bobs, and then maybe some in the afternoon. Um, and then actually, if the kids are doing something else and my wife's doing something else, I'll just come in and start and do a bit of writing because they don't really like, they watch all sorts of weird stuff on the TV that I don't like, reality programs or something. They go, "Do you want to come and watch Love Island?" And I'm like, "No, I'll go and do some writing, or just go and watch some paint dry or something." Um, so, so actually, it's preferable to. It's actually, do you know what the other thing is? I actually quite like writing. That sounds really weird, but when you're
No,
talking,
that sounds perfect.
it's a sort of complete escape. I just go, I put my headphones on, and I've got these kind of whatever soundtrack I'm listening to, it's sort of, and I just sit and write, and actually I can kind of get lost in it for a couple of hours, and that's a really nice way to spend the day. So the fact I earn a living from it makes me incredibly lucky.
Is there anything else that you would rather be doing?
Really not.
No, I didn't think so.
No.
I love that.
If there is no snow in Snowdonia when you start filming, where do
Where
you
do you want to
go?
go to film it? That's Tony Millington.
Oh, we could only fly out to Scandinavia somewhere. That might be quite nice.
I'll be an extra in Scandinavia.
Yeah, we'll fly you all out.
Need a big plane. We're all inviting ourselves, which is rather cheeky.
Yeah.
David Walsh says reality TV sucks. And
Yep,
Donna says, I'm doing a spring short story as well, Sam.
Oh,
So I look forward to reading that. I was just going to say something about her last story about how it ended. So she'll be chuckling now. Oh, I know why Donna asked you that, because Donna will be chuckling as she writes the endings to things. Okay, I can see that. I'll tell you what it was afterwards. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who's not read it, but we have in the book club, we have shorts that Will and sometimes Kath run 3 or 4 times a year. So anyone who wants to search for any, mine are terrible that are on there, could do with a blooming good edit. No, they need a good edit. But UK CBC Shorts is the hashtag.
okay.
And that's absolutely. David wants to know, do you listen to music whilst writing? And if so, what kind of music?
Yeah, I do. I always listen to music because it's sort of.
Do you listen to stuff that sets you in the mood for the scene that you're writing? Or do
Yeah,
you
I just listen to the soundtracks to shows that I kind of think. So Unforgotten, which I absolutely love. It's literally my favorite thing. So, and no spoilers, but.
No, I was just going to say no spoilers, but I love
Oh, God.
Unforgotten.
Yeah, I think it's by far the best police procedural on TV. It's far better than Line of Duty. I do like Line of Duty, but I think that I think it's far more authentic. But I've forgotten the guy's name that writes the music now, and I normally do. Anyway, he writes soundtrack albums, and so you can get the soundtrack to Unforgotten 2, and I just put that on, or I put on Broadchurch, music from Broadchurch, which is beautiful. Music from The Killing, music from what was I listening to the other day? Marcella. So yeah, have soundtrack music to crime stuff, and that kind of gets me in the mood. There's no lyrics, so that doesn't kind of and so yeah, I have that sort of burbling away on my headphones, and away I go
So
into my.
you're like me, you literally eat, sleep, and breathe crime.
Yes, absolutely. This is the insane thing, is that I'll be working and then I look at, and it's nearly 9 o'clock, and I go, great, I'm going to go and watch Unforgotten or whatever the crime, and then I'm binge watching Traces at the moment, which
I've
was
not seen that.
which was set in Dundee, which is again just another crime. All I do, yeah, all I do is read, watch, and write crime.
What about true crime?
Yeah, I watch documentaries on true crime. There's a really good one on BBC Two at the moment about the MIT, the murder investigating team in Manchester.
How have I not even heard of that? It's where I
It's
live.
brilliant. The second episode was, I think, I don't know what evening it was on, last week, 9 o'clock. I think it was either Tuesday or Wednesday on BBC Two. I think it's something to do. They basically followed a gang murder, and they had CCTV, and it just followed the MIT with all the briefings. So all the kind of stuff that I write about. It was brilliant. It was really brilliant, and quite harrowing as well. It's like you kind of see the reality of what was going on. But yeah, I mean, it's quite odd to be doing that and nothing. And the only other thing I do is watch football. It's the only other thing I do. But
no, football.
no, sorry. Well, my team got beaten 5-2 today, so I won't be watching football for a while.
So when you've written about the mob,
yeah.
So how was that? How do you research something like that? Is it a lot of it from the news and different things? So how do you even begin? Where do you begin?
Documentaries, news, books. Normally there's some really good books. So there's I wrote about a Liverpudlian gangster called Curtis Brown. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. Curtis, and he is based on a real Liverpudlian gangster, and there was a biography of him. So I just read that, and it was and there's some other books about Liverpudlian crime. Plus I've got one of the dads at my son's school is a DS in Wrexham CID, and he's been working on county lines for basically working. He said he's been going into houses in Wrexham and finding a gang of Scousers in there, or Brummies, who are basically county lines gangs. So he tells me about.
Explain county lines for anyone. I mean, I've done it in safeguarding, but anytime anybody mentions it, I always ask them to just explain it briefly for members
county
who might
lines
not know.
is basically drug running from the major cities such as Liverpool and Birmingham into the rural areas. From Liverpool, a lot of the rural areas of North Wales, up to Rhyl, over and all the way down the west coast, and they will take over houses, often of vulnerable people. It's called cuckooing. So they basically will take over a house. They'll find someone who has a mental health issue, or is poor, or has a drug habit, and they will take their house over and use that as a base from which they will then go out into the community and sell drugs. And they run drugs. I suppose it's basically, they're just, in terms of a business model, they're expanding their market and taking over any local dealers, basically. Well, I don't know what happens to the local dealers, but I'm guessing they don't mess with gangsters from Liverpool and stuff. So and they use kids. They do, and a lot of the drug runners are kids that in their early teens, because they are less susceptible to going to prison, and they're also easier to manipulate. So yeah, I think it's something's happened in the last sort of 5 to 10 years a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely something that we learn more and more about in safeguarding for school. Yeah. So that must be when you're looking at real life things as research, which obviously, most crime fiction writers will have to do for the research. That must be quite harrowing. There must be things that stick with you as well.
Yeah, I did something very different. But the book number 7 was the Solace farm killings, which is about a religious cult. And so I did a lot of research into religion. There was a religious cult in Snowdonia, so that was kind of a spark, a point. But also did a lot of research into Waco. I don't know if anyone knows Waco, but it was a religious cult in Texas, in the US. And the guy that ran it, David Koresh, thought he was a messiah, and was basically convinced the people in that.
I think I watched a documentary on it.
Yeah, and there's a very good drama series about it on Amazon. So I did lots of research into that, and that was harrowing and powerful. And then I got an incredible email after the book had been written from someone who had been at Waco, who had married David Koresh, because he had about 12 different wives. And she'd read the book, and she said that she thought it was a really, really accurate portrayal of a religious cult. And I was like, it's one of the best emails, if not the best email I've ever had, because it was someone, and I'd done all the research into Waco, and then someone who'd been there. There's quite a lot of Brits there, actually, who'd gone over to join the cult. But yeah, I mean, that was harrowing, but also for me as a vindication as a writer, to get somebody who'd been there and said that was really an accurate portrayal of what it's like to be in there, was that was good. Branch Davidians, someone was like, that's right, that's exactly what they were.
Yeah, I'll have a look who that is. Keep having to refresh because it only goes so fast. So I'm like scrolling every. So that was Simone that said Branch Davidian.
Yeah, that's what that. Yeah.
Yeah, she said some of us remember Waco well, and she just said that's amazing. That I'm assuming that somebody contacted you and said just how accurate it was.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, that was but yeah, no, it was harrowing to read about what happened there. Yeah.
T wants to know, do you go outside in fresh air to plot your stories, or do you become a plotter in front of the laptop?
Oh, bit of both. Sometimes the best ideas are when I'm walking the dog. And often what I'll do is I'll have a couple of scenes that I know I've got to write in a certain day. And I'll go out with the dog into the fields, and as I'm walking along, I'll start thinking about how that scene's going to work, and the sort of momentum of being out and walking, actually, and then I'll go, all right, that's how that scene should work, that's how it should finish, and then I'll come back and write it.
Have you ever visited the place to write the scene? You know, have you ever kind of gone to just somewhere where a scene's set and just looked at how that would play out?
Yeah, because sometimes, because obviously for me, I can get to Snowdonia in about half an hour. So if there's and I can use it by just with the family and say, oh, we'll just stop here. But I'll see certain details about just on the landscape, or a tractor or a barn or something that's like a physical detail that I could never get just sitting in here with the laptop. So when I did the Harlock Beach, I went to Harlock and basically walked through the dunes where the body's found and looked at where the castle was, and so that when I went to write it, I could remember, I had certain details that I would never have got if I just kind of plucked it out of the air and gone, right, I'll write about Harlock now. So yeah, no, it gives you I think it just gives it an authenticity to it.
See, as you're talking about it, I'm thinking of going for a drive. Where is it that? The dog.
Bed Gellert.
Bed Gellert,
yeah.
Driving up there, and I can smell the air, and it's where the slate mines are. So
that's right. Yeah, that's
just absolutely stunning up there.
Yeah,
driving through, and you're driving literally into the clouds at the top of the hills, and
it's incredible.
Talking to you is really relaxing. Not like reading your books, that's not relaxing. No. But talking to you about Wales.
But the slate mines are so dramatic as well. I know you kind of sometimes you go out there on a foggy or a misty day, and these kind of great big black mountains of slate. It's almost like sort of something kind of sci-fi. They're incredible looking.
I've got some slate on the top of one of my bookshelves in the living room. There's just 5 small pieces of slate, one for me, my husband, and each of my children.
Oh,
So that makes me
lovely.
happy.
Yeah.
I'll take a picture and send it to you. Not like you don't know what slate looks like.
No, that's really cute.
I love it. So there's something about that smell and that vibe about the place. There's just that feeling you get.
There is, yeah, and I think that the more that, I mean, I get that also, the certain things that when I've done the research and then I've gone out there have been really quite kind of mystical. Not that I don't kind of have a mystical experience, but like, for example, there's a couple of the lakes are meant to be the lake where Excalibur was thrown, and the Lady of the Lake, that's meant to happen in Snowdonia.
Yeah.
And King Arthur's final resting place is meant to be in Snowdonia. And the Holy Grail is meant to be buried in somewhere in Snowdonia. So sometimes I kind of have this all in my head when I'm walking around, and I'm going, it's like, it's sort of there's a kind of a gravity and a mysticism to it as well that is just like nowhere else, isn't it? I just think that's fascinating. All that history.
Yeah. When people say you can feel something as you're walking around somewhere,
yeah,
you really can. There's just something that pulls me back there every time we get a chance
definitely.
to go.
Yeah.
And you get to live there. My kids won't move.
No,
kids.
They want to be in the city.
They do. I don't know why.
No.
It's nice where I live, don't get me wrong, and nothing wrong with Manchester before anyone starts throwing
Manchester's cool. There's loads going on.
But Wales and the Lake District, I mean, honestly, we've got a request, can we do an extra hour?
Yeah, fine.
That's the gorgeous T. She's one of our admins. Such a fascinating writer. Can we do an extra hour?
Oh, that's really nice.
I know. I literally just feel like I could just I keep almost forgetting that we're on camera and kind of like leaning in for the conversation and then thinking, sit up.
And I've got another series if you want to talk about that. I'm planning a new series set on Anglesey, which is beautiful as well. And I've done nothing on Anglesey. And again, that's kind of steeped in history.
We're going to have penguins and seals.
Seals
or sea lions?
Both, I think. So yeah, the picture actually it's a Mancunian main character. It's a male main character, and he's the highest siege negotiator in the Manchester Police. Actually, I can't tell you too much, but anyway, something goes wrong, and 5 years later, he's gone into semi-retirement with his teenage kids on Anglesey, and he now runs like a kind of a sort of training company. And then there's a situation on Anglesey that requires a siege hostage negotiator. So he comes out of sort of semi-retirement. I mean, he's only in his 40s, and that leads us into him becoming a person that the police begin to use on Anglesey and the area. So that's my idea for a new series, but that won't be. I don't think I can get that going this year.
Do you know anything about Manchester?
Do I know anything about Manchester? Only what I know from as a kind of South Londoner in exile in North Wales, but so no, not a lot. I've been to Manchester many times to go and see gigs and clubs and all that kind of stuff. But
I'm just thinking about setting something in a completely new place. I know that Rachel Abbott, she lives, I can't think off the top of my head, but not in Manchester anymore. And she sends her sister off out on missions to go and look for places to put a body and different things like that. So if you need a roving reporter, I'll go and do some research for you. Go and inquire to builders. What would happen if there was a body there and they'll lie away slowly?
I think that's the other thing, is that I think there are various members of my family that are incredibly worried that if they cross me, I'm now an utter expert about where to bury bodies, how to get rid of them, what to use, all the forensic stuff. So actually, I think crime writers are probably experts in how to get away with murder. In fact,
we were having a conversation around my fire pit yesterday about this, and my eldest daughter was saying that how people would, there could be someone that's committed the perfect crime, but because it was the perfect crime, nobody's ever found out, so nobody knows.
Oh, I like that.
I thought that was
That's
pretty
really
good.
interesting, because you would, yeah, of course, no one would know about
And
it.
then we had the obligatory pig farm conversation.
Oh yeah, because Pigsy.
The 11-year-old wasn't present for this conversation.
Thank God.
Just for safeguarding purposes, I will let you know that.
But I do that now. I mean, you must do. I don't know if you do this, but when you've read a lot of crime and you kind of watch a lot of crime stuff, when I watch a certain person trying to escape, I'm going, don't leave your mobile phone, they'll trace it, or don't try to give them advice, saying don't bury the body there. You need to put lime on it if it's going to decompose. It's definitely going to get fat.
That's good.
So all that, you're going to go, and yeah, advising murderers on TV, that's fairly crazy. Do you think we are desensitized? So I'm just reading out one of the questions.
Yeah.
I get more upset reading about when animals get hurt than people.
That is Simone again.
That's a really interesting question. Thank you, Simone. Possibly. I think you sort of, whether it's desensitized to the reality of it. I mean, it's part of the deal, isn't it? When you watch crime or you read about it, that it's not real. And I suppose there's part of you that always knows that, which is why actually when I watch something that's true crime, you suddenly realize that it really does affect you, because you're kind of thinking these are real people, and it's harrowing. But it's an interesting question whether we do get desensitized because we watch it all the time.
I read something a while back, and I'm not going to name the book or the author. Fantastic book, and I was talking to Kaz about it earlier on. There's a scene in it that has not only stayed with me, but was so harrowing, I don't know that I'll ever read anything by them again, even though it's horrific. So I think some things we probably have seen a lot, but occasionally that one thing surely that seeps through that you just can't get out of your head.
Yeah.
Can you switch it off when I know it's fiction that you're writing, but with all the research that you do as well, can you switch it off?
No, sometimes it'll pop up in a dream and stuff. That sort of thing. Especially the Waco stuff seems to stay with me quite a lot. That kind of the fire and the no, sometimes that will kind of that stayed with me quite a lot. I listened to there's a really good podcast on it as well. So those stories, they do sometimes stay with you when you're doing the research, much more than actually when I'm writing it, because when I'm writing it, I know that I've just made this stuff up.
Yeah.
When you're researching something real to then inform stuff, and I think, just for me, my taste, because we love Unforgotten, but I like Unforgotten because it feels that it is steeped in reality.
Yeah.
So you haven't got, there's a priest that's been crucified, and there are certain tropes in crime that I don't like, and that's just my taste, and I'm just speaking for me. But where the murders are incredibly elaborate and ornate and kind of gratuitous, but also quite over the top, and I like my crime in my books to feel that this is something that could happen.
Yeah,
that does happen. I mean, obviously,
it's not there for shock value.
Push the boundaries so that actually it feels like a real police investigation into a real crime, which is why I love Unforgotten, because when I watch that stuff, it's normally just one murder, and it's quite low key. The investigations are quite low key, but the characters are really, really so well drawn that you're completely drawn into it. That's my taste. Tony's saying Manchester Detective series last night, brilliant. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
We've got from Philip Jordan. Hi, Philip.
Hi, Philip.
He's one of our author members. Is there one particular character that surprised you in the writing by going off on a journey you hadn't planned when first thinking about the series? And do you have a favourite scene or incident within the series? That is a tricky one.
Yeah. There are, often because I do a bit of plotting, and it's the plotter or pantser, I sort of hybrid, because I don't ever want to kind of plan every single scene. And often if I do that, then what ends up happening is a third of the way in, I will go off on a tangent and go, well, that's far more interesting. So actually all the planning I've done becomes obsolete anyway. The one that springs to mind is the book I've just written, which is called The Razor Gang Murder, which is sort of set in London, South London, and it's set. It's a historic crime based around the 50s and 60s, and it looks at kind of the criminal underworld, but also a lot of the police corruption in London at the time. And there is a character in there whose father was a police officer, and the plot develops, and we find out stuff about him and his father that I never thought. It just came out of the writing, and that really surprised me. And actually, the book became, the whole slant of the book went that way rather than where I'd intended to go. And that was great because I just did loads of research on it. But yeah, that's really nice when you find something and you go, that's far stronger than the thing that I was actually going to write about, and I'm going to go off on that. And that ended up being a really powerful scene between one of the main detectives and his retired cop father, and what he'd done in the past. And yeah, no, it's good. And yeah, that's one I think of. Favorite scenes. There were some good scenes there's a serial killer in book 3, and he escapes at one point and goes, we're talking about the Slate mines, and they had these fantastic, at the top, they had these great big kind of, almost like a ski run.
Yeah.
I've seen, when I went and researched this, as you were asking, I went up and had a look. And you know, like Eddie the Eagle, they're like those ski slopes. And when it's icy, so I looked at it and just thought, God, I just thought that looks really fun to kind of jump on the top and see where you end up. And this is a bit of a spoiler. Spoiler for, I didn't know I didn't do it.
Oh no, what can you imagine? Oh my God, I'd be terrified.
But basically he uses it as a way of getting out, escaping. And he basically does a runner and jumps on the top of it. And it's quite, I suppose, and visually, he's at the top of this thing and he just skids all the way down like a toboggan to make his escape. And I kind of thought that was pretty dramatic.
Can you imagine actually filming that scene?
That'd be great. So that's one of my favorite scenes, just because it's kind of action packed.
We have literally filled our hour.
Have we? God, that was quick.
I know. I always think that talking to you. I know we've actually not talked for a while, but I literally just forget, and it's just having a chat.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. I could have done that all evening.
Show off all the book covers again. Yeah, we absolutely will. Kaz gets you next time though, so I'm going to start sulking again.
Oh,
we alternate hosts. I mean, you'll be in good hands, but I'll still sulk.
Yeah, too right.
So come on. So obviously I've got 4 of them behind my head as well.
I think anyone that hasn't read this, I'm plugging this one because everyone's reading the Snowdonia books, but actually I'm really proud of this as the first book in the new series. So that I'm plugging that. This is the last one. So nearly on Anglesey, going to Anglesey.
It's not far off, yeah.
Not far off, is it? And then if you haven't, this is where you start.
So everybody's saying that it's on the TBR pile.
Good.
You've seen the cover, go and dig it out.
Yeah, before it comes on the screen near you soon. So yeah. Thank you so much, Sam. That was a really enjoyable hour, and it whizzed by, which is always a really good sign, isn't it? Just nice to chat. It's funny. I feel like I've laughed most of it, which is always nice too.
Which is always good. It's always good when it just feels like you're having a chat with
really natural. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. And Tony Millington says he's downloaded Diary of a War Crime.
Oh, let me know what you think, Tony. I really hope you enjoy it.
Thank you everybody that's taken part, commented and joined in from all over the world. Oh, and Donna Morfitt said something about forensic students. I don't know where we're up to, but she could watch us both all evening. And Simone says thanks so much, very enjoyable.
Thanks, guys.
And this will be up on YouTube and staying in the group for anyone who's missed it. They can watch us back. Thank you so much, and we'll get you booked in again soon.
Take care.